So I don't know if you have read the article in the Atlantic by Tim Alberta that was called I believe it was called "The Poisoning of the Evangelical Church." It's a fascinating article, and it talks
I
about
didn't
this.
read it, Dennis, but
Okay.
I heard him speak about it
Oh,
on
okay.
Jonah Goldberg's podcast. Yeah.
Okay. And it is a really, if you have the time, I would definitely read it because he talks about, especially one pastor in Michigan, who has his church has grown considerably because of COVID and the lockdowns, and people were going to his church. And um, one of the things that I find fascinating is that what he says, when you enter the church, you don't see a cross anywhere, but you see a
Right.
lot of American flags.
Yeah.
And there's something interesting about that, that there is a kind of a surrender to culture over Christ in some ways.
100%. Not in every church, but in
Yeah,
some
definitely.
churches. And it's progressive churches, it's
Yes.
conservative churches, it's across the board. We have a surrender, and you see secular cultural symbols in the church all the time. And I go back a lot to Stanley Hauerwas. He's a guy who had a big influence on my thinking theologically. I never really even met the man. I just think he has a brilliant theological mind. And he would say again and again, the role of the church is to tell the truth. And the church has to be the church. We can't try to be anything else. And so once we kind of are willing to outsource our ethical positions, our worldview, to aspects of the secular culture, that we're not even in the game anymore. We have forgotten how to tell the truth. The church has to tell the truth. And the truth is that within our political parties, both of our political parties, there are some really rotten things.
Mhm.
And if we can't call that out because we're so interested in making political gain, then we're completely irrelevant to what's going on in the political world. You know, um, for example, it's very hard right now to be a pro-life Democrat.
Mhm.
I think there may be only one or two actually in government right now. But why is that? Why should it be the case that you can't be a Democrat and also be pro-life? When did that become constitutive of being a Democrat? Well, it didn't happen overnight. It just sort of happened gradually. But I think the church needs to stand up and say, yeah, there is a place for that. In every political party, there should be a place for pro-life people. The church is a place that lifts up life. And I'm not just simply talking about the abortion debate. I'm talking about it in a lot of different ways. The church, as a truth teller, should be a community of people who lift up life. And so the capacity to kind of speak against the paucity of pro-life Democrats, or Republicans who do things that, I mean, for example, this guy that's on Twitter all the time, this Greg Locke guy,
Oh, yeah.
that's on Twitter all the time, for a lot of people, I think he embodies what the church is today, because all they know about the church is what they see on Twitter. And I find that heartbreaking because I don't recognize what he's doing as Christianity. And I think Christian leaders have to be vocal in saying, that's not what we believe. That's not, we hope he repents. I don't want to beat him up. I don't want to cancel him. I just want him to repent. And I think we have to distance ourselves from that and say, that's not us. That's not what we're about. So, but he has so closely tied his ecclesiology, such as it is, with his politics, that a lot of people are going to see that and think, well, Christianity is just part of an extreme wing of the Republican Party. And I think that's tragic.